What if I told you that the most dangerous thing you could ever do is nothing? No messages, no explanations, no chasing, just complete, unshakable silence. You see, when a woman walks away, disrespects you, or makes you feel replaceable, it triggers something primal, that ache in your chest. That's your ego clinging to what you thought you needed. But here's the catch: Stoic men don't chase. Stoic men observe. They let people show who they really are. And when someone shows you they can discard you, the correct response is not to run after them. It's to disappear and level up so quietly it haunts them. She made her decision, whether she left for someone else, got bored, or simply thought the grass was greener. It doesn't matter. What matters now is what you do in the space she left behind. Most men try to fill that space with begging late-night texts, long emotional paragraphs that she screenshots and sends to her friends. But not you. Not anymore. You're here because you're ready to become something she never saw coming. A man who doesn't flinch, a man who doesn't react, a man who transforms heartbreak into high ground. When you go silent, when you stop feeding her ego, her validation machine goes cold. At first she'll feel relief, then boredom, then curiosity, then regret. That's the cycle. And you're not even watching it. You're busy, you're building, you're becoming. You have to understand this: your silence isn't weakness. It's warfare. It forces her to sit with her own guilt, her own decisions, and the echo of your absence. Trust me, when you stop showing up, when your name stops appearing on her screen, when you no longer orbit her world, that's when the shift happens. Not for her, for you. That's when you become dangerous. If you're done being a backup plan, if you're ready to let silence speak for you, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She lost access, not value. Let's get into it. 1. Silence is a weapon, not a weakness. Silence is not retreat. It's not submission. It's precision. When you stop speaking, stop chasing, stop explaining, you weaponize absence. And that silence, it's not just the absence of sound, it's the presence of power. Because the moment you choose not to respond is the moment you stop bleeding power into someone who never earned it. Understand this: people fear silence more than they fear rage. Anger is still engagement. Begging is still engagement. Even when spoken, gives her something to feed on attention. But silence is emotional starvation. And emotional starvation makes people reflect in ways noise can't. She expected a reaction. She expected fire. But you gave her ice. Now she's left replaying moments in her head, wondering if she overplayed her hand. Why isn't he calling? Why isn't he watching my stories? Why did he go dark on me? That's the thing about silence. It turns the tables without saying a word. It flips the narrative. Now she's questioning her worth. And you're not ghosting her to hurt her. You're ghosting the version of yourself that needed her. You're done negotiating your value in conversations where she only came to take. You've stopped being available. You've stopped being predictable. And when you become unpredictable, you become unforgettable. A Stoic man doesn't seek validation. He doesn't hand over his emotional keys to someone who slammed the door in his face. He doesn't chase. He observes. And in that observation, he decides, this is where I leave the table. Not out of anger, but because he refuses to beg for scraps when he knows he's the feast. Silence is not weakness. Weakness is trying to explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding it. Weakness is speaking just to be heard. But silence makes her listen. Silence makes her feel. And one day, when her ego starts to quiet down and her reflection starts to talk back, she'll remember that the loudest thing you ever said was nothing at all. 2. Do not chase. Let her sit with the chaos. She caused, she left. She played games, she disrespected you. And your first instinct: chase. Fix it. Prove you're worth staying for. That's what you've been conditioned to do. but chasing her only reinforces her illusion of power. It tells her she can wound you, walk away, and you'll still come crawling. Nope, that ends now. You don't chase people who light fires and expect you to clean up the ashes. You let them sit in the mess they made. If she broke your trust, betrayed your loyalty, or took you for granted, the last thing you do is run after her. Why? Because people don't learn from comfort. They learn from consequences, and your absence is the consequence. You don't rescue her from the emptiness she created. You don't offer closure. You don't validate her behavior by making yourself emotionally available. You give her space. And in that space, you force her to meet herself. See, when you chase, you protect her from the impact of her own decisions. You become her emotional safety net. But when you step back, when you leave the scene cold and calm, you make her feel the full weight of her choices. And that's when reality sets in. That's when the fantasy breaks, when the silence becomes suffocating. The guilt creeps in. She starts to ask, did I lose something irreplaceable? You're not just teaching her a lesson. You're reclaiming your identity. You are not a rehab center for broken attention seekers. You are not a fixer-upper project. You are a man with standards. The moment she crossed them, she lost the privilege of your presence. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. You are not punishing her. You're prioritizing yourself. And here's the truth. Most men never realize your detachment is the mirror that reflects her damage. If she can't sit with the silence, that's not your burden. If she starts to regret, to spiral, to reach out, that's her pain talking. You just stay still, stay silent. Let her sit in the exact chaos she unleashed. That's where the lesson lives. 3. Pain is your catalyst, not your curse. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the fuel. It's the alarm clock that shakes you out of the dream. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the silence from someone who used to light up your phone. Yeah, it burns, but that burn is a forge. You either let it melt you down or use it to rebuild into something stronger than she ever imagined. Most men try to numb the pain. They drink it away, swipe it away, distract themselves with temporary bodies and shallow highs. But a Stoic man, he doesn't run from it. He sits in it. He studies it. He sharpens his edges with it. Because pain, real gut-level, heart-ripping pain, is the ultimate teacher. It exposes what you ignored. It reveals who you gave too much of yourself to. And once you feel it fully, you'll never give that kind of access again to someone who didn't deserve it. This is the turning point. This is where you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to build in me? Stoicism isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about realizing that nothing external, her love, her validation, her attention, can define your internal state. Pain doesn't break a Stoic. It reveals him. It pushes him into the fire so he can emerge, forged, not fractured. She thought you'd fall apart. Maybe you did briefly, but now you rise with clarity. Every time your chest tightens when her name comes up, that's fuel. Every time you remember a lie she told with a smile, that's fire. And you channel it not into revenge, not into rage, but into mastery, mental, emotional, physical. This is your season of building quietly, ruthlessly, purposefully. Don't waste your pain trying to be who you were before her. That man was blind to the red flags. You're not that man anymore. You're becoming someone even your past self wouldn't recognize. Not in spite of the pain, because of it. 4. Master emotional control or be a slave to it. Emotions are not the enemy, but when they control you, they own you. And that's exactly what she expected, that you'd spiral, lash out, explode in a pathetic mix of anger and desperation, because once you react emotionally, she wins. She gets to say, see, he's weak, he's not grounded, he needs me more than I ever needed him. Nope. You're not giving her that satisfaction. The Stoic doesn't deny his emotions. He dominates them. You might feel rage, confusion, heartbreak, but you never let it leak out where it can be used against you. You control it like a weapon you keep sheathed. Because the minute you send that long text, the moment you show up online trying to get her attention, you surrender leverage. You stop being mysterious and start being predictable. You become just another guy trying to prove he's still worthy. Understand, this emotional control isn't about being numb, it's about being surgical. You don't react. You respond with logic, with calm, with restraint. You don't flinch when she tests you. You don't collapse when you see her with someone new. You remain composed, because nothing shows strength like a man who cannot be moved by chaos. She wants to believe you're emotionally wrecked, that you're checking her stories, that you're talking about her to friends, that you still care. But when you go cold, when you move on without broadcasting it, that's when her ego starts to crack. She realizes she's no longer in your mind. She's not relevant. And that right there is emotional warfare at its finest. You can't control what she did, but you can control how you react. That's your battlefield, not her DMs, not her new guy, your mind. And if you lose there, you lose everywhere. 5. Detachment makes you dangerous. The moment you detach, you become a threat. Not because you're trying to hurt her, but because you finally stopped needing her. You've unplugged your self-worth from her attention. You've shut down the emotional ATM that kept paying out love validation and forgiveness without return. And when that happens, you become unpredictable. And nothing is more dangerous than a man who no longer reacts, no longer chases, no longer cares. Detachment isn't bitterness. It's clarity. It's realizing that no amount of effort will change someone committed to misunderstanding your value. It's accepting that not every connection is meant to last and that most are designed to teach. And what this one taught you. How easily people throw away what they take for granted. She assumed you'd always be there, that you'd linger, that you'd orbit her world like a lost satellite. Nope. You cut the cord and drifted into your own galaxy. When she can no longer predict your moves, she starts watching harder. She stalks your silence. She checks your page to see what you're doing, who you're with, how you're smiling without her. And that eats her alive. Because the version of you that once chased is dead. And in his place stands a man who doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't wait. That's detachment, not coldness, control, not emotional shutdown elevation. You feel everything, but you're ruled by nothing. And from that state, you become impossible to manipulate. She can't guilt you, she can't bait you, she can't play the same tired tricks that used to work. You've leveled up beyond her reach. And that shift forces her to look at herself, possibly for the first time. And here's the twist when she finally comes back around. It won't be because you chased. It'll be because you didn't, because you let her go without flinching, because you became untouchable. That's the kind of silence that haunts. 6. Her guilt will come, but only if you stay gone. Here's the hard truth: guilt doesn't show up right away. At first, she feels free, unbothered, empowered. She might even post pictures with that fake smile, trying to prove she's thriving without you. But don't let that facade fool you. Guilt is slow-moving. It creeps in when the silence stretches too long, when the attention stops coming, when her ego finally runs out of fuel. And the only way it shows up is if you stay gone. The second you break silence, you delay the lesson. The moment you reach out, even just to talk, you relieve the pressure her choices were supposed to create. That void you left. That's the consequence. And if you jump back in too soon, you rob her of the moment she realizes what she really lost. Don't do that. Don't interrupt the storm she caused. Let it rain. She has to feel your absence, not for a day, not for a week, but for long enough that it shifts from peace to discomfort to regret. Only then does the guilt sink in. And when it does, it won't be subtle. It'll hit her in the middle of a quiet moment when nobody's watching, when her phone lights up, but not with your name. when she remembers the way you looked at her, supported her, believed in her. And now you're gone, not mad, not bitter, just gone. That's when it hits different, because you didn't blow up her phone, you didn't plead, you didn't chase. You disappeared with your dignity intact. And the longer you stay gone, the more her imagination fills in the blanks. Is he over me? Is he with someone else? Did I misjudge his value? That's guilt. That's what replaces ego. When silence is respected, don't break the silence to get closure. Your silence is the closure. Don't check on her. Don't stalk her pages. Don't ask mutual friends. Let her feel the silence like a weight pressing down. That's how you win without saying a word. 7. Attention is currency. Starve her. Your attention is currency, and she's been spending it like it's free. Every view, every like, every text, every time you check her story, you're paying her, not in dollars, but in validation. And guess what? She knows it. She craves it. She feeds off it. Because as long as you're still watching, still reacting, still responding, she's still in control. She gets to feel wanted without earning it, desired without deserving it. That ends now. You need to understand the market you're in. In today's world, attention is power. And when you give it away for nothing, you become nothing in her eyes. Why would she value what's always available? Why would she chase a man who can't stop orbiting her world? You don't chase what's abundant, you chase what's rare. And when you go silent, when you pull your attention away, you shift from common to costly, from desperate to desirable. Here's the kicker: she might pretend she doesn't notice, but she does. She sees when you stop watching, she feels when your energy vanishes. And that silence, it creates scarcity. Scarcity creates curiosity, and curiosity pulls harder than any message you could send. You're no longer funding her ego. You've shut off the supply. And now she has to sit with the question, why did he stop paying attention? She might try to bait you back in a thirst trap post, a vague quote, a story designed to get your eyes back on her. Don't fall for it. That's her trying to re-enter your mind rent-free. Lock the doors. Keep your focus on you. Because every time you resist the urge to check in, you raise your value. You stop being a follower in her story and start becoming a mystery in her mind. Starve her of the one thing she always thought she'd have: your eyes, your energy, your validation. Let her learn the cost of losing access to a man who once gave freely and now gives nothing. 8. Level up in silence. Success is revenge. You want revenge? Don't text her, don't post indirect quotes, don't beg her to see your worth. Just level up and do it in absolute silence. No announcements, no warnings, just quiet transformation. Because the most painful thing for someone who underestimated you is watching you become everything they didn't believe you could be without them. Here's the truth: heartbreak is fuel. And while she's out trying to replace the attention you gave so easily, you're in the dark building something she'll never be part of again. A better body, a stronger mindset, a focused grind. You don't get even by proving her wrong. You get even by proving yourself right. That you were always the prize. That you never needed her approval. That her absence only cleared space for your evolution. And the beauty of leveling up in silence, she won't know how to handle it. She'll check your page and find nothing. She'll ask around and hear you've been doing your thing. She'll feel the shift, but she won't see the steps. And that mystery, that's torment. Because now she's on the outside looking in. She's no longer part of your story. She's just a chapter you stopped rereading. Every hour you used to waste on her, you now invest in yourself. The gym becomes therapy. The hustle becomes focus. The silence becomes power. You become the man she thought she could leave behind, and now she can't stop thinking about what she threw away. But you don't post about it. You don't stunt for her. You let the results speak loudly, relentlessly. And when she finally realizes she downgraded, when she sees you glowing, growing, thriving without her, that's the moment you won. Not because she saw it, because you no longer care if she does. 9. Don't block her. Let her watch you win. Blocking her might give you temporary peace, but leaving the door open just enough for her to watch you win. That's psychological warfare. You don't block her. You let her stay in the bleachers while you build an empire she can't enter. She's not in your life anymore, but she still has front row seats to the show, and every silent win, every mysterious move, it eats at her. Because here's what you're really doing. You're letting her sit with the reality that you didn't just survive without her. You upgraded, and now the version of you she used to know is gone. She sees the glow, the growth, the calm detachment, but she doesn't get to be part of it. That's the price of playing games with a man who is real from the beginning. See, blocking her would let her off too easy. It allows her to imagine that you're bitter, that you still care. But leaving that digital door slightly cracked, no interaction, no emotion, just stillness, forces her to confront the silence. Every time she checks, no responses, no reaction, just you thriving. That's not petty. That's poetic justice. Because she'll scroll and see you in shape, doing better, surrounded by people who respect you. She'll see that her absence didn't destroy you. It freed you. And the most haunting part, you didn't have to say a word. That mystery, that silence, that's your edge. Let her wonder. Let her overthink. Let her realize too late that the man who once made time for her has become the man she no longer has access to. And remember, this isn't about hurting her. It's about showing yourself that you don't need to erase someone to elevate past them. You're not spiteful. You're focused. You're untouchable now, and that's exactly what she never saw. 10. You were the prize all along. Here's what no one told you. When she left, she didn't break you. She exposed you. She exposed the parts of you that still needed validation, the parts that doubted your worth, the parts that were willing to shrink just to be loved. And now that the dust has settled, now that the noise is gone, one truth remains. You were the prize all along. She didn't leave a nobody. She left a man who hadn't fully realized his value yet. But heartbreak was your wake-up call, and now you see it clearly. You were the one who showed up, who stayed loyal, who gave effort, who saw her as more than temporary. And she walked away from that not because you weren't enough, but because she wasn't ready for someone who was. Let that sink in. She lost you, not the other way around. You gave her a chance at real. She traded it for the illusion of better. And now that you've gone silent, leveled up, detached, she finally sees what she had, but it's too late. You've outgrown her. You've reclaimed your power. You no longer seek closure. You embody it. You no longer chase peace. You are the peace. You're not the same man she left behind. You're the version she could never hurt again. This isn't just about her anymore. It's about every time you doubted yourself, every moment you thought you needed someone else to feel whole. Every night you stared at your phone waiting for a message that never came. All of that, that's your fuel. That's what built the man you are now, and that man doesn't chase. He chooses, he leads, he decides who earns access and who stays locked out. You were never the option. You were the standard. The moment you stopped begging for love and started embodying it within yourself, everything changed. You became the storm, the calm, the prize all at once. You made it to the end. And if you're still here, that means something and you just clicked. You're not here to play the nice guy role anymore. You're not here to beg for the bare minimum. You're here because something inside you snapped, and not in a weak, emotional way, but in a ruthless, focused way. The man you were, he's gone, and the man you're becoming unstoppable. This wasn't just a video. This was a blueprint, a declaration, a wake-up call to every man out there still checking his phone, hoping she comes back. Stop. She had her chance. She made her choice. Now it's your turn to make yours. Do you keep chasing ghosts? Or do you rise so far above her memory she can't even reach the man you've become? Let her wonder. Let her sit in silence. Let her scroll through a life she no longer gets access to. And while she's stuck in reverse, you're shifting into a future that doesn't include her. No bitterness. No revenge. Just disciplined growth and complete emotional control. This is Stoicism in action. This is dark psychology mastered. This is you choosing power over pain, presence over obsession, purpose over people who couldn't see your worth. So if you're ready to close that chapter for good, not just in your mind, but in your habits, your focus, your entire life, then this is the moment. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. Right now, the chase ends with me. This is Stoic Habits.